Meet the two founders, Pavan and Bala.
Propent.ai is a AI discovery platform as well as a transaction platform for real estate.
What Prophunt.ai does is it reduces the number of ops and directly connects the buyer's agent with the seller's agent, instantly be able to close within like few days.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, where we decode the journey of founders, innovators, and game changers. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by two founders, the visionaries behind Propent.ai. So, hi, Bala and Pavan. Thanks for joining. If you can briefly introduce yourself to our audience.
Hey guys, thank you. My name is Pavan, and I have about 20 plus years of experience in the IT industry, having worked for companies like Huawei and Red Hat, and performing various roles like product marketing to running business operations at Red Hat to running sales at Red Hat for the ISV program. So I also have a bachelor's in computer science from RV College of Engineering, and I did my MBA from UNC Keenan Flagler Business School in North Carolina. After which I started working for Red Hat. So I stayed for about 15 years in the US before deciding to come back and work on our own startup named Realtimate, which we'll be talking about shortly.
Thanks, Nithin, for this opportunity. My name is Bala. I did my computer science from Manipal Institute of Technology, Manipal, and then I worked in Bangalore for a few years. And then in 2008, I went to US for pursuing a master's in computer science from North Carolina State University. So that's where I met Pavan, actually. He was working in the same campus at Red Hat. In 2010, once I graduated, I got a job in Apple. So I worked in different roles in Apple, from being a developer to a tech lead architect for almost 11 years. As you said, I have written a lot of code in the kernel. I pride myself being even now I can code in assembly right from the assembly language. I have written my operating system, and now I'm a full stack developer for in our company. So we came back in 2021 to found Realtimate. I will talk more about it.
Thanks, Pavan and Bala, for the brief introduction. It's a very interesting journey. I know you were in US for more than a decade, working there comfortably for big techs. Could you share the moment or turning point that sparked an idea for Propent.ai and Realtimate?
Honestly speaking, I was not sure when I would come back to India to begin with, but there was always that vision of coming back to India, right? But as in with every Indian who goes to US and settles there, right, the ambiguity persists for a long time. But I think COVID was eye-opening, right? Because if you think about what happened in COVID, a lot of perspective change. Like you are suddenly sitting and you have a lot of time for yourself. Kids' activities were shut down, schools were shut down, just a lot of time for yourself, right? And fortunately, at that time, I was reconnecting with my friends and we were always in touch, but I would get in touch with Bala more often than not. And it just, Bala was already making plans to go back. He probably would have left in 2020 if it was not for the COVID. So when we were discussing, I knew that if I were to come back to India, I would not come back as an employee. I would come back to start my own business, right? I had a couple of ideas, but then when I started speaking to Bala, Bala said he wants to go back to India and solve a difficult problem. And real estate might be a problem that is worth solving because it's chaotic. And it resonated with me. We were just talking about it. And then he said that, why don't you come join me? Because we both could build a good company and there is a lot of challenges to solve. So it seeded an idea. I mean, it seeded a bug, I would say, in my mind when I realized, I want to break free of this, 9 to 5 job in the US. Even what is the best thing that would happen in the US? You would go to a different company, but again in a different location, and you would do the same thing again and over again. So if there was creativity in you, it would be stifled because of the H-1B limitations, the green card limitations, and the role you have to play in a particular company. But if you work on your own startup, there is no limit to the creativity that you could put in on the field. So one thing led to another, and then I started talking to Bala, and we said, okay, let's do some assessment in the market. Is there a problem that is worth solving? Why we need to solve the problem? Are there stakeholders that actually care about solving the problem? And we spent a good 3 to 4 months every day, literally brainstorming with each other or interviewing stakeholders. And then I felt comfortable that, going back to India to solve a problem, especially in real estate, is a problem worth solving and worth coming back to. So we took a call and we had to plan it out because 2020 was a rough year. So we said, let us move the next year when things calm down a little bit. And it also gives our families time to programmatize the move. So that's why that was my personal experience of moving back to India.
So in my
Yeah.
case, kind of, I always knew I wanted to found my own company, but the route was kind of not clear. The idea was to go to US, make enough money, and then come back with some kind of financial stability, so that I can try to work on my own company without salary for a few years, right? And for that, you need to have certain kind of financial stability in your life, and so that is one of the reasons I went to US in the first place. I'm one of the very few people who got married and went to US. A lot of people go there and find their partner over there, but I got married same year I went to US for doing my masters, and then later my wife also joined me. She also did the masters in the same university, same course and everything. When I went, my parents were not very happy that I was dismantling a fully established life and then like going back and starting again. I told my dad, give me 5 years, I'll come back. But that 5 years turned into 13 years, but I did come back. It was always in my mind that I want to go. And we decided that 2020, we decided like it was time to go back. But COVID was it was raging all over the world. So we thought, okay, let's postpone it by 1 year. And 21 is when we actually came back. But during this time, I was not very clear, that I want to found my own company or what exactly I want to do. But one thing I observed about myself is that I was having a lot of hobbies outside of my job, right? I was writing my own operating system for a few years, experimented a lot of different things. Like I did my own drones. I ported my operating system to drone, to control the drone, aeroplanes. There's a lot of hobbies I had, and I used to spend a lot of time doing it. One point I realized that if I spend the same amount of time on building one thing rather than like spending time on 100 different hobbies, if I concentrate on one thing and keep pursuing that, pushing that without like taking up new things every few months, right? I thought we can build something really great. So at that point, I realized maybe I should, come back to India and really work on a product from scratch. So yeah, that's how it started.
No, I think it's very interesting, Bala and Pavan. I think it completely resonates with me as well, right? Almost 90% of the Indians want to come back. But I think one biggest factor holding them off is uncertainty. They don't know what would happen if they come back to India. But uncertainty is the game, right? Like things are uncertain and we have to take risks. What's the worst case scenario? We still have a corporate doors open, but the satisfaction end of the day, what we get, starting our own company is much more satisfying than working for a corporate. The other principle which I incorporated when I wanted to come back is minimum regret framework. A lot of people want to do, but it still remains as a dream. And when they turn 60 or 70, they always say, oh, I always wanted to do this, but I did not do this. And then they start regretting. At least you guys took that courage, came back and trying. I think that will be a biggest asset of your life. Failure and success could be secondary, but trying is very important. If you don't take an action, you already failed. Good part is you already took an action, working on it, and always like once you persist, I think you will be successful.
Yeah, no regret framework is very good. It's a right way to think, because the day when you retire from your job, you always believed you can do so many things, but you didn't do it. That will lead to a lot of regrets. That is something that you should not have to live with.
Correct. Yeah. You guys chose real estate to work on. Is there a compelling factor you chose real estate? I know real estate is very chaotic in India and there's a lot of space to solve, but did you go through some data points before starting Propent.ai?
Yeah. So, growing up, my father was actively into real estate. So he took a voluntary retirement. He delved into politics. Then he took a voluntary retirement, but he was actively in real estate. So it was very evident when either buying a property or selling a property or engaging in any means in a property was always a stressful experience, right? There was issues around documentation, around timing, around the cost, around the background of the person who you're dealing with. These were all recurring themes. I mean, I could sense palpable tension whenever there is a deal in progress, right? Now you come to the US, and I purchased a few homes in the US, right? And before that, I rented a few homes. Not at a single point I would be stressed about a real estate transaction in the US. It was always seamless. You always had the backing of a lawyer. Money was protected in an escrow, and documentation was also very straightforward. You were in and out within 45 minutes. So the question was, why is it so easy in the US, while it continues to be so difficult in India. There's a huge disparity. But at the same time, India was catching up. Our UPI framework is probably one of the best in the world. The new technologies have evolved. We have digital signature platforms. We have escrow platforms now. But what they put into good use to solve the real estate problem, that's something we didn't realize it was put in place. And to validate this, we spoke to a lot of people who are affected by this, like my cousin's friends or friends who were probably cheated in a real estate transaction, right? Who went through this whole rigmarole and realized that it's a very stressful process. And then we talked to agents, we talked to developers. So when I talked to you about having that downtime during COVID, it gave us a lot of time to reach back into the Indian audience and do a lot of interviews. I think we have like about 150 hours worth of interviews between various stakeholders. So it was very clear that transactions are not smooth and people continue to have issues just not executing the real estate transaction, even finding property, right? So, and the market is huge. This is not just a Bangalore issue. It's not even a tier one city issue, right? It is a recurring theme that happens across the board. So we felt the market was huge and the problem was solvable. And our own experience having dealt with multiple real estate transactions gives us a better understanding of how the transaction can be better when compared to what exists right now. So I think that experience, having lived through two different countries, having dealt with transactions in different countries, gave us a lot better foothold on how to solve a particular problem. And then we said, okay, I think we have enough validity. Let's go back and start our own company.
In my case, I wanted to actually build something IoT or something to do with the drones. But later, when we actually started working on it, I realized that every Tom, Dick, and Harry is working on drones at that time. I mean, now maybe not, but in 2016, 17, a lot of people are working on drones. I didn't want to be another guy working on drones. And at the same time, I didn't want to work on some hardware project that will involve manufacturing. Manufacturing is something that you can end up burning all the money that you have saved. So I didn't want to take into hardware. I wanted to do something purely in software that can scale to millions of people. And real estate was the same experience. I had a very similar experience to what Pavan had. I saw how easy it was doing transactions in the US versus in India. And real estate is a big space and a lot of problems are there, in real estate. So if you fail in one, you can, hop onto another. So opportunity is immense. That's why we took this. I'm not particularly saying that was the right choice or the best choice. There are some regrets and, goods and bads in this particular decision, but we are sticking to it.
I think this is an interesting use case because it connects the emotion of the people and the different segment of the people. When you're dealing with the US, that's a completely different segment. India, there are brokers as well. A lot of people don't understand the software. Even the people who are qualified to understand the software, still they are not confident to use the software. So there are a lot of challenges. I think you might already be working on that. Before we go into the technical aspects, right, I also want to hit upon your career transition. You were in a corporate role. I know how it is. It's completely in autopilot mode. But I think when you step into the startup life, it's very chaotic. Especially in India, it's very uncertain. So how was your experience transitioning from a corporate role to a startup role, especially in India?
So, long ago, when in the earlier part of my career, when I was attending a pre-placement call from Oracle, there is a sentence that stood out for me. It said ability to deal with ambiguity, right? So I thought that statement was very profound because nothing in life is set in stone, or you know things will change, and when you least expect it, it will change. So I took that statement was very profound to me, and I always believe that we need the ability to handle ambiguity. That ambiguity can come in many forms. It could be change in your career trajectory, it could be change in health, with you or with related to the family. And in US, we were always under the gun, in the sense, I think you probably know, green cards are not so easy to get, especially for Indians, because of the backlog. So there was always uncertainty. You could either cry about it or you could deal with it, right? So you have to shrug this off. Now, on the other hand, when you start realizing that there is so much more you can do, but you do not have the freedom to do it when you're in a particular role, because a H1B defines what you can do. You can't really do things out of scope, right? So there's a limitation on what you can do. So for me, it was very clear. If I wanted to realize my complete potential, I needed to come back to India or I had to become a citizen in the US so that I could explore multiple angles. But the second option, which was becoming a citizen of the US, was not going to happen anytime soon. And India was growing. India has great opportunity. Even now, I think McKinsey made a statement that it's not just the decade, this is India's century. We are a fastly developing country, really high on GDP, high octane growth. So if there was one place we should move to and we should make a career, it has to be India, and no better place than Bangalore. I think when it comes to the challenge, personally, I was ready to take any new challenge, right? If it was not working for one corporate and moving to another corporate, it could have been anything else. But I think the bigger challenge was to convince the family to come back to India along with me. In the sense, they were all getting settled or they were already settled. I had two kids. My wife was working in a very cushy job. And my son was also very comfortable with where he was living, elder one especially. Younger one was still very young. Just ensuring that they are also understanding of what we are trying to do, what I'm trying to do, and getting them on board. I don't think it was a challenge, but I would still feel like bringing them on board was something we had to do, right? And if not a challenge, at least setting the right expectations on what they can expect here, how they'll be treated, how even though it may not be as cushy as America, trying to make them feel in place with the help of extended family, etc., was something that I was able to do, and I'm really glad that they also supported me on the decision and came back with me in my pursuit of this startup. So that's what I would want to say in terms of challenges or leaving my previous job.
So in my case, like I become a little bit unsettled when everything I can predict. Like if I'm working in a company, I can see I'm growing, I'm doing at the peak of my career. And I can see in the next 5 years, I'll be here, I'll be here. When the path becomes predictable, I become a little bit insecure. And I feel that is when you have to, force some changes on your life. Because if you don't force the change, force will be pushed on you. So it is better to choose your timing, chooses your time and what you want to do rather than the situation ends up pushing you, right? Like I keep thinking like if I were in the US right now, maybe I would have regretted not taking a decision a few years ago because things are not doing very well for Indians in the US who are working there, right? So that is one of the reasons I'm happy that I actually took the call when I was doing very well in my career. And apart from that, family, even my family was very well settled. We had multiple homes, car, everything. One of the toughest choice was selling my car because I didn't know if I'll be able to buy an equivalent car in India. That you have to let go of things, learning to let go of things that you really love and you built over a period of multiple years with the hope that you will reset everything and rebuild everything is a tough choice, I feel. We came at the peak of COVID. Actually, in fact, what happened was I resigned from my job and we had 15 days of move out time. I sold my house and everything, but we even sent out our containers back to India. But then the Air India, where we had our flight, they canceled the flight for almost one whole month. So we don't have a home, but we had to leave in the US. So we actually took that opportunity to do Airbnb for almost like 2 months in different parts of US. And then for 2 months, the flights came back and we moved to India. So yeah, that is our journey. I would say leaving the corporate job was not really a challenge for me personally because I always wished to spend 100% of my time on my hobbies. Even though I was loving my job, I wanted to fully do what I really love to do on my own hobbies. So that way I didn't really miss it. But my wife, she was working in Intel for same number of years. She decided not to work in India after coming back to India or take a break. And for her, it was a little bit of a challenge to adjust not working for someone or not earning money is a challenge. You need to adjust to a little bit reduced lifestyle if you want to enjoy the freedom, but it is okay.
Yeah, I think that Bala, you brought up a very interesting point. Rather than situation enforcing a change upon you, you take action. So you'll be more comfortable, right? So I like that concept and you will be more confident as well. And the other two things, I think the family factor is very important, especially when you're married. It becomes very, very hard to move back to India because you have to convince your partner and also let them, because what you start doing is starting all over again and chances of success, it's not guaranteed. this case. So I think these are the two critical factors. I think that's what the reason a lot of people shy away moving back. But when I look back with the current situation, right, I feel comfortable as well because you know what's happening in US, a lot of things. And at least if I feel that I was in charge of what's happening rather than whatever happening in the society is enforcing you a change. That's one of the thing which actually makes, at least proves that what we did is right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Choose your timing
Yeah,
and
Exactly.
your
rather
way.
than being pushed out due to consequences.
Correct. That's awesome. Let's get a little bit technical now. You guys have two companies, which I understand, Propent.ai and Realtimate. How are these two products related? Are they even related? And why do you have two names?
So, see, our company's name is Realtimate, and Prophunt.ai is a product of the company itself, right? So, when we came back from the US into India, we came back with the intent of setting a real estate transaction workflow for all sorts of real estate transactions, right? Which is mostly going to be rentals or sales, resales, etc. So we found reasonable success with it. But the challenge was scaling because any kind of transactional platform needs a lot of time for us to sell because decisions in the real estate industries don't happen overnight. You can convince some agents, but then how do you find those agents and make them use it? There may be a whole month where rentals don't happen because of the year, etc., right? And when it comes to large companies, they don't make decisions overnight, too, right? We are fortunate to have Brigade, one of the largest developers in the country, as our customer. We power their rentals, resale assignments completely. But it's hard to find another Brigade, not because they're not interested, but because their whole business plan is centered around primary sales, probably any kind of rental, resales, etc., are something that is forward looking. So the Realtimate set of products initially, which was mainly into digitizing the real estate transaction, included digitizing the rental or sale agreement, setting it up for e-stamping or e-signing instantly within seconds, and then collecting money through an integrated escrow service as part of the workflow, and then disbursing the money upon the completion of the agreement. So this was the transaction workflow. So while we were at it, we realized, this product has its own place, but it's not going to scale as fast as we had imagined. But the reason being the pain point that actually exists for most brokers or real estate agents, right, is around discovery of the property. The transaction is the after the fact problem, right? So if I were to break it down into an 80-20 issue, 80% is trying to find the property and convincing or finding a lead that can actually match against each other. Then the 20% of the problem, which is executing the transaction. So we were solving the 20% of the problem, but the pain existed around 80% of the problem, not just brokers, right? Even developers also have the same problem. That's where a lot of money is spent. They throw a lot of money into large listing sites like Magic Breaks, Common Flow, 99 Acres, Square Yards, some even on No Broker, for example, right? So at the same time, we realized, okay, while we are solving the back end of the problem, the front end of the problem also needs to be addressed. And the avenues that they're using to list their properties or requirements are in the public through communication platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, newspapers also in some cases, or Facebook groups, etc. So we realized that there is an opportunity for us to streamline the discovery process, and then we built Prophunt.ai. Bala will get into a little bit more detail about Propent.ai when he gets it set. The idea was, okay, how do we solve the complete stack? How do we solve the problem and provide a complete stack to the users? Which is first find the discovery, help them with the discovery, help them find the property or the leads for the particular property, and then help them complete the transaction, which was already built. So both these products complement each other. And now we are starting to see a lot of adoption of Propent.ai. And we know that once they start using the discovery platform, we will be able to convince them to use our transaction platform as well. So that's how they both complement each other. And
Just to add, yeah, just to add to what Pavan said, right? The Eureka moment was when we saw that about 80% of the problems are not, 80% of the listings or properties are not in, traditional listing sites like Magic Bricks, No Broker, and all that. They are with the broker network. Because brokers are like about 45 to 50,000 real estate agents or brokers in Bangalore, and they hold 80% of the inventory. Not all of them will be put in the Magic Bricks notebook. They put a representational advertisement in Magic Bricks so that they can get the lead from them there. But the actual units, actual properties, there in their mind. What is the first thing that they do is that they are part of hundreds of groups, maybe WhatsApp groups, Telegram, Facebook groups, and all that. Right. Their first action is to draft a small ad and push it into these groups so that they're hoping that through my network I can reach 10,000 agents, and they wait for the calls to come. It will happen over a period of like 1 month. They'll be able to find somebody to call them and be able to close the transaction. And sometimes they will also put ads in Magic Bricks No Broker when they are unable to get leads through their network, right? This problem, when we saw this is happening, then we realized that these leads are available freely. They have shared already with like 10,000 people. And very likely the demand and supply can be met within their group. But why they are not taking 1 month to close it? And maybe a lot of money to be put as advertisements and all that. And the problem in this particular space is that it is very scattered, it's broken, disconnected, unorganized, very difficult to find when you want it. So we thought with the latest developments in the AI, we thought we can try to solve this problem. And when we dig deep into this problem and the possible solutions, we were able to connect the dots and come up with the idea of Propent.ai. With a lot of lesson learned as a first-time founder, right? We had made a lot of mistakes with Realtimate. So the second time we didn't want to repeat the same mistake. So we started by creating a kind of a website just that shows the value of the what we are doing, and try to create a sign up form. And we just called few agents and say, would you like to sign up? If you would like to sign up, please sign up there. So without too much of effort, within 2 weeks, we could get about 200 to 250 agents sign up by themselves. Not only in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Madurai and all that. People started signing up by themselves. So we then thought that we just created a website with the value prop. Okay. And people signed up. And then we thought, okay, there is a value for solving this problem. Then we put our whole team, a majority of our team, into building this. We took almost about 10 to 11 months to build this prop hunt from scratch. And when we built it with the fully like AI first approach. And we didn't want to be, we didn't want to build it on top of Propent.ai Realtimate because that Realtimate is basically a contract management and escrow platform. And we didn't want to, integrate the two from the beginning. So we wanted to start fresh. So we started Propent.ai, and over a period of time, we will actually integrate the services from Realtimate into Propent.ai in a AI, in a AI world. The how you get your work done in the AI world is different from how you get in the pre-AI world, right? So when we integrate, it will be in the form of pure AI play. But right now, Prophunt.ai is connecting brokers. In Bangalore, we have more than 20,000 agents that are using our platform to connect with other agents. And we have more than 30,000 listings in Bangalore at this point. On a daily basis, we get 700 to 800 new listings from all over the place. And, a lot of agent connections happen on a daily basis. So that is what Prophunt.ai. So if you want me to describe Prophunt.ai in one sentence, right, I will say that this is a broker network, in a modern broker network using AI. And that's what it is.
That's awesome. I think you are creating a complete solution, right? Basically, you are creating a discovery, which is a Propent.ai, and later you are completing the transaction to earn Reddy Ultimate. I think that's a real use case. A lot of services, what they offer, I think they are not offering the second part of it. They're only offering the discovery engine where people go and list it, and then the transaction need to happen. So I would like to get more detail because being in US, I understand escrow. For a lot of people, probably in India, they're still new to an escrow system. How would you explain an escrow system to people who don't understand the financial transaction? So what are the challenges you saw, and how is escrow system? What exactly is escrow system for a layman, and how is escrow system solving the real problem today?
Yeah. So, in layman's term, what I'll say is an escrow is a holding account for the money that is involved in a transaction that will be released upon the meeting of certain terms and conditions per the contract between the stakeholders. So, for example, let's say if there's a buyer and a seller. There before in the olden times you need to give a token advance in order to initiate the process of a transaction, right? But therein lies the risk, because what if the seller changes the mind? Or what if the property doesn't check out and it has some legal issues? What if there is other claim from other parties during the transaction? Your money is stuck. That's where all the problem happens, right? So what an escrow does is it parks the money that is meant for the transaction in a holding account or in an escrow, and until you meet the criteria of the terms and conditions. And you can define the terms and conditions, right? It could be like performing due diligence in a couple of weeks, or getting my home loan approved, or completing my own house inspection. It is something that mutually that could be agreed upon the stakeholders. Now, as an escrow agent, which we are, our job is to simply follow the terms and condition and release the amount in the escrow appropriately. Okay, if the terms and conditions say that, I've finished the due diligence, I've finished the home inspection, I've secured a loan. Now, please release the money. We will simply follow the rules and conditions and we'll release the money to the seller. If the escrow agreement says that, okay, part of that amount that is parked should go towards commission of the seller's agent and the remaining should go to the seller, we will release it. So it gives all the stakeholders something of value. Like, we think it only benefits the buyer, right? It absolutely benefits the buyer, because the buyer's money is protected until certain terms and conditions are met. And he will only authorize the release if he's comfortable with moving ahead with the transaction. But on the other hand, it also helps the seller, because in India, right, the moment you take money, not a lot of people may know this, but you're encumbering the property towards the buyer, prospective buyer. So if the money goes, many times the people think that the seller has the upper hand. They probably have it, but at the same time, if you use it legally, right, the moment the money goes into the seller's account, you can always encumber his property towards yourself. The seller is kind of obligated to sell the property to you. But by staying in the escrow, seller is also free of that encumbrance. Okay. Now, from a broker's point of view, the number one problem that the broker has is his commission doesn't get paid on time, because the moment it is released to the seller can act up, right? Not everybody do, but a few people do. They may not give the promised commission, or they may not even give any commission. They may lowball the effort the broker has put in. So all these issues go away, because if the terms and conditions are clear, which says upon the release 1% or 2% should go to this agent, no questions asked, it will go. So it kind of satisfies all the stakeholders. Now, coming to challenges, right? Yes, we did have challenges, right? It is very difficult to convince end users to use a new technology before it is proven in the market. And we entered the market in a nascent stage. Escrow companies were developing, but escrow in real estate was not common. I mean, RERA escrow was common, but that was only happening because it was government mandated. Outside for resale or anything else, escrow was not such a common practice. But it took some time. Fortunately, we had great partnership with Brigade. Brigade is acting like a broker for the rentals. It's a subsidiary of Brigade called Brigade Plus, which executes rentals, right? So they started the practice of using the escrow to collect their commissions and also secure the stakeholders' interests. So because they don't want to be on the hook if the seller takes the money and doesn't turn over the apartment or rent the apartment, right? So they didn't want to be in that situation. And they don't want to be in the situation to chase the seller every time for commissions. So they say, okay, this is a solution that we are going to put in place. And I think now it's catching up, right? So we have one very solid use case, big developer using it. Now, more and more agencies are willing to look into an escrow process. It solves their problem. And there is also, a track record of success with a large builder. So it's starting to become more pervasive. There's still some time to go. I think it's more and more, the adoption will happen over time. It's a slow process, but we do see that escrows will become pervasive over a period of time.
See, escrows were there even before we came in, right? But they were very expensive, plus a lot of physical manual work needed to open it. It will take a lot of time. And it was being used by very large transactions. Someone is buying like 50 crore apartment or something, they would park the money in the escrow, things like that, right? But we wanted to democratize this escrow. So what we did is that we have our escrow provided by ICICI Bank. We used at the core, we use ICICI Bank's technology, and the account money will be sitting in ICICI Bank at the oversight. They will have their oversight, plus the trustees that monitor every transaction, every proof. They check for proof for why the money came in, who put the money, why the money is going out. So escrow is basically a safe custody. And what we did is we virtualized this escrow account to create millions of virtual escrow accounts. And we use one escrow account for each transaction. Like if you are a buyer buying a property, for your particular transaction, we'll open individual account. This is like a real account where you can put money, you can deposit, do online transfers, remit money, or deposit even check or cash in the bank. And we open these accounts with just a couple of minutes. We can open it using we complete the KYC, we open an account, and then we also built a payment gateway on top of these virtual escrows so that you can actually collect money into these accounts instantly without having to wait for like a cooling period or things like that, or without having to add a beneficiary in your bank account, things like that. So we have several use cases that we have built, and we find a good traction in these use cases. One is the resale process where we collect the token advance, actual advance until the agreement for sale. Then we also do rentals through this property management company that is using us. We open one account for each property. We facilitate the agreements like rental agreements, service agreements. We facilitate e-signing, e-stamping because that is our expertise, right? We are a contract management company. We are also integrated with the Stockholding Corporation of India to procure instant e-stamping and Aadhaar signature and all that. So once the agreements are built, the escrow account number is mentioned in the rental agreement, and tenants will put the money into these accounts. And the property management companies that are using us, they have dashboard where they can see each property, all the money coming in, all the money going out per property. The property management is another use case. We also have some use cases related to expression of interest, like new project is starting up. They want to assess level of interest, or they want to, collect pre-booking, advances or booking amounts through our escrow account. So these are some of the use cases that we are addressing at this point, and we have a good traction in this particular kind of B2B kind of space.
Model.
One thing which today I lack in real estate space is the confidence to buy or sell as a seller, right? Because there's a lot of uncertainties. And also when you're dealing with a broker, you're dealing with a different kind of people. The language itself is different. So I think if you have a common platform, common language, which intercepts the broker, buyer, and seller, I think that would be a game changer, especially in India's real estate market. And so far, I am not aware anybody has done that because either people are trying to solve one segment of problem, either discovery. I don't know much about the transaction, but I think you're creating a complete solution, and it is a very interesting use case. So that being said, when you're dealing with the money, there should be some kind of a governance. Is there any governing body from India? You have to take some kind of a approval or certification before you proceed. And what are the challenges you faced? Would you describe your experience with that part?
So getting an access to an escrow account or a license to operate an escrow account comes with its set of requirements, right? It's very tightly bound from an agreement point of view. The bank has to sign off on the use case, and it is limited to a specific use case also, right? So when we are operating an escrow right now, we are only authorized to operate an escrow for that supports real estate transactions. If we have to expand the scope of that escrow, we have to go back and request the new use case as well. And the bank is very, very thorough upon granting. They study the business model. They interviewed us. They ensured that the escrow is going to be put in this case. So that is the initial stage itself, right? Then there is also a mandated or a hard requirement of a trustee. Okay. And it's kind of a trustee is somebody who oversees the escrow transactions. And within that also there is pre-audit and post-audit. So basically pre-audit is before you even release it, you have to submit a package of the whole documentation around that transaction. Okay, you're not authorized to release any money until we get a sign off from the trustee. And these are trustees that we are working with a trustee who works with large companies like Amazon, Flipkart, Dream11. They're a large trustee and very well recognized by ICICI as well. Without having a tripartite agreement and without having these processes in place, we are not going to be able to disperse the money from the escrow fund. Now, when it comes to governance internally, we have a very, very, I would say that disciplined process as well as sophisticated as well. In the sense, we have a two-level review before releasing any money within the company, as well as one level systematic review. In the sense, a web-based solution that will validate the release of funds based on the terms and conditions of the agreement. So only after that, we involve the trustee to review the whole package, which will finally close the loop for us and authorize us to release the agreements. Now, we don't do post pre-audit all the time. It's only for high value transactions. For rentals, for example, it's a recurring theme. So we do post audit where the trustee reviews after the transaction has been completed on a monthly basis. And because it's a recurring theme, right? There are not many changes. The risk is also pretty low, but we have not had any concerns flagged so far because we follow the process. We submit the right documentation, and there is a track of what's coming, what's come out, and what the documentation is that supports the release of money for every bit of deposit.
Awesome. That's good. Bala, a question for you. Is there any regulatory challenge as of today from Indian government or Pavan?
So, I mean, as Pavan mentioned, right? So you get licenses only for certain use cases. So if you need to expand your scope of your usage, then you'll have to take a fresh approval. We have requirement our personal, assets and our own personal financial situation is reviewed by the bank every time. And like every 3 months, we'll have to again do a KYC, give a lot of proofs for them. We are still here, things like that, right? That is just to be a agent, escrow agent, but actual money is not with us at all. It is still with the ICICI Bank. And we just build a set of technology so that the same kind of benefit of the escrow reaches any transaction. Like even if you are buying and selling a rental property, we are making this escrow available to you at a fraction of the cost of a traditional escrow. So there are a lot of benefits to it. Like for example, if you are sitting in Delhi and you want to move into Bangalore, you want to finalize a house, instead of directly transferring advance to the owner. Sometimes the owner may not be even real owner, right? It could be a fake owner trying to take your advance money and run away. So we provide the whole set of agreements as well as money being parked in the escrow. The moment you take the key, you can actually have an agreement saying that on the day of certain day, you exchange the key and the money will be released. So these are the things that are made possible. We also have, you can throw a KYC in our platform. We have built all our workflows on WhatsApp only. You don't have to download an app or sign up or log in. We have made everything available on WhatsApp. So you can actually throw a KYC request at the owner who claims to be in Bangalore and he wants a property, right? So he will have to do his Aadhaar-based KYC, and both the tenant and owners will get to know the actual KYC information about each other. And then only they can engage in a transaction. And then we facilitate the transaction with the agreements and open escrow account for that transaction so that the tenant who is sitting in Delhi before moving in, he can actually park the money so that the owner can wait for him until he comes and then hand over the key. At that point, the money will be given to the advance money will be given to the owner. So these are the use cases we are going after. We are building trust into the equation, which was unorganized before, and we hope that this will change how real estate transactions will be done in the future by everybody, not just like high value transactions. Even lower level transactions should be done through our platform.
How are you solving moving fast problem, right? People want it today, now, right? How are you solving that? Then the second question is the trust factor. How are you trying to build a trust from the both parties, buyer and seller?
Yeah. So just to answer your question, right, about the speed, the escrow accounts that we create are transactional accounts. They are not like your permanent savings account or current account, right? These can be opened just for the duration of there is a definite time period, and there is a definite purpose for these accounts. They are not simply used to park your money and gain interest. The escrow accounts by RBI definition, it doesn't earn any interest. So it is like a current account. It doesn't earn any interest. Because of that, we do a KYC. A lot of KYC technologies are there available in India. That some of them are built by Aadhaar UDAI system only. We do the KYC and then open an escrow account for a given transaction. We keep all the documents. Even the documents are signed using government provided e-stamping, e-signing, Aadhaar signatures, and all that. So, and as soon as the transaction is over, the account gets closed. The money is going out. Once the balance becomes zero and the purpose of the transaction is done, the account will get closed. So this is how we are able to make it fast and keep it only for that particular transaction. Any new transaction will involve new account, new document, new agreements, and everything, right? And in terms of the trust, the whole purpose of the escrow is to bring equation to the trust. Before, people were giving money to the developer was buying new land. Instead of completing the current project, he would buy new land. So the government mandated this RERA escrow account to build trust. The whole purpose of the escrow accounts are to build trust, bring trust to the transaction. And just we are making it accessible to everyone for even smallest possible transaction through the technology.
See, I would also add, we have provided a lot of transparency in the whole transaction, right? If you are a buyer or a tenant and you make a deposit into an escrow, it's not like it goes into a black hole. It's very clearly visible in our dashboard. You get a notification, you can see a statement, you can see how much money has been put, how did it come in, and there is also an agreement tied to it, right? Which defines and clarifies what are the terms of release. Okay, and it goes both ways. It's not just one way on a success case. What happens if there is a failure, right? And initially, it was a little hard to sell this concept of an escrow to the end customer. But that's where when you get in the large builders like Brigade and large agencies or large property management companies endorsing and using an escrow, right? The barriers to entry reduce because now the conversation changes from why should I use an not sorry what is an escrow. It changes from what is an escrow to why you should be using an escrow because all these other players are already using escrow and they're seamlessly executing transaction. And it's not that, Pavan and Bala make the decision and the money is released, right? There is a method to madness here. There is an infrastructure in the backend. The money is actually sitting in an ICAC account. It is overseen by a trustee that oversees large successful companies. And after the successful authorization of that only, we can release the funds. And also the release is governed by the agreement terms and condition. So there's a lot of infrastructure built around it that substantiates the need for an escrow and increases the trust in using an escrow.
Then there are maker-checker models. For example, all our escrow has another business on the other side. Like for example, in case of Brigade or property management companies, these property management companies are also monitoring all the money coming in, going out, why it is coming, all those things, right? And anything that is not according to the plan will automatically get flagged. Things like that. So there is, when a customer walks into a Brigade or any other property management company, they'll ask where to put the money. That's all. And this becomes part of the process. They don't even know that this is an escrow account. They just ask where to park the money. And the problem of oversight becomes the Brigade's problem in the sense they need to ensure that everything is all right, how money is being managed. So there is no trust issues in this particular case. And even for smaller agents, they are managing only one or two transactions at any given point of time. So they know where the money is coming in, where it is sitting, where it is going, all those things.
Okay. Are you operating in Bangalore or all the metro cities today?
So we started in Bangalore, but the backend workflow has been used in multiple cities, right? We have not actively marketed it anywhere else, but through our network only it's grown, right? Hyderabad, Noida, NCR region, even Chennai. So the backend platform has grown there. Propent.ai, on the other hand, is something that is primarily active in Bangalore, but we have started seeding the seeds to expand in other tier 1 cities and possibly 1 or 2 tier 2 cities as well for proof of concept.
So do you have to go and tweak based on the local regulation or the regulation is common across India?
See, it's fairly straightforward, right? But at the same time, there are some nuances around local measurements. So for example, in Bangalore, everything is square feet. But in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, it's square yards, right? And there will be local nuances around documentation and things like that. So we'll have to adapt to that. But I would say that is only 5 to 10% additional effort.
Yeah, I mean, in order to just expand to what Pavan said, right? Like, for example, Mumbai has a little bit different regulation. If you want to get a agreement or a rental agreement signed, you have to have a fingerprint, personal physical presence, and a fingerprint is biometric is required. So it adds some challenges to the agreement. But the other pieces like escrow, we are operational in Goa also, some properties for expression of interest. So how the, opening of the expression of interest, collecting money through escrow and building contracts, they are scalable throughout the country, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So one more thing, because I see a use case for buyer and seller, right? So it makes it easy. But there's agent. So why would agent use this software? Big agents like Brigade, I understand because they need this software. But smaller agents who deals with one or two sales or rentals, right? They would rather prefer using cash because those are all unaccounted and they could charge extra money. How are you leveraging these sellers to use your software?
So very good question. So agents have a couple of issues, two big issues, right? One is capturing the interest of the customer at their most vulnerable point. And then the second big thing is making sure that they are paid the fair commission as per the agreed terms. Okay. And these problems, they persist because there is no solution. Let's say you are an agent and you show them an apartment or a plot, and the customer is really interested at that point. Okay. The only way you can solicit their interest is a post-dated check or transfer to an account. Both are not most effective because a post-dated check is meaningless in today's context, right? They can always go and cancel it, or simply the customer can call the agent and say, don't execute it, I'm not interested. There are a few minutes of vulnerability at any given point where a customer is almost convinced that this is the plot or the apartment, but there's no way to lock in. That problem we have solved through instant lock-in, where our digital escrow account is created within seconds using WhatsApp, right? We provide an interface to the agent where all they need is the PAN number of the customer, and everything else pretty much is auto-populated, creates a virtual account, throws a payment link, and you can collect it through UPI payment right there. The moment there is a market difference when the customer pays money and walks away from the site versus a customer assuring the custom agent that I'll go add the account and transfer later in the night. Because 2 in 3 deals are lost once they leave the site and other people are able to influence their decisions. Lock-in is a very important aspect that helps the agent seal the deal. Now, the second aspect is the commission, right? They are always chasing the money in today's world, right? The agent has to beg, repeatedly plead, ensure that he's in good terms with the seller or the buyer to ensure that they are going to pay the money on time and to the agreed terms. But there is no guarantee. There's always insecurity around that. What escrow does is, because we tap into the advance for sale or even beyond the 10-20%, how much ever it might be, depending on the terms of the condition, what they can see is that their commission is secure and it is already sitting in the account. So the hope that it will come because it is sitting in the account trumps the need for not using the platform. You understand what I mean, right? So they know that the money I can already see it. Would I rather go with this, or would I live with insecurity and deal with cash? Right? Obviously, we are not going to win every agent because some people may be comfortable with the customers. They may know the customer for a long time and they may be comfortable dealing with cash, but that's not the case for majority of the sales reps, right? So over a period of time, we see agents adopting this platform and using an escrow for both locking in the customer and ensuring their commission.
Is agent mandatory in this platform? Can just buyer and seller do a transaction without an agent?
See, we are geared towards brokers at this point. They are our primary customers, but we don't discourage the buyer and seller. That said, it's going to be rare, right? Like there will be an odd buyer and seller who wants to use the platform. We will not discourage them. But I think there's more to the engagement than simply using the platform, right? Even every buyer and seller knows that they benefit from a vast array of expertise from the agent. What our philosophy is, if we find an end customer, seller, or a buyer, we would try to pair them with the broker on our Prophunt.ai, because we know that they're going to be serviced better through efficient brokers on the network, and they may get more choices. They may get a better deal if they engage with it. But that said, if a buyer and seller, they've already finalized the deal and they want to use our platform to execute the deal, we absolutely are okay with that.
One is discovery and one is completing the transaction. Are these seamless today, or they are acting as a two separate entity at this point of time?
So Bala alluded to the fact earlier, they are two separate entities. The Propent.ai serves as a funnel and a lead generation for the transaction platform. But at some point in the future, right, we would want to integrate it so seamlessly that we identify the stakeholders of the transaction, we identify the property, and then through AI, we will be able to complete the workflow, build the documentation, complete the workflow in a seamless manner, and make it a full-fledged end-to-end solution. But we are not there yet, right?
I mean, so with Prophunt, right, we are aiming to be the broker network. There was a company called Broker Network that went bankrupt. They spent like 300, 400 crores they lost within a span of like 9 months. But there is a need for broker network, large broker network, to be efficiently connected with each other. And we are trying to fulfill the same thing with technology. You don't need to have like 500 people in the company to build a broker network. Right? We can actually, with technology, you can connect 20,000 or 100,000 members with each other efficiently, be able to collaborate with each other, close the transactions so seamless. And while closing, we provide technology for them to close it also. So that is our vision. And right now they are not integrated, but because for the ultimate contract management and escrow company, right, we are primarily targeting large organizations, B2B, whereas Propent.ai is going to be B2B primarily, and in the future, maybe B2C.
Yeah, I think there's an disaggregated market and you're trying to solve a challenge. Real estate space is one of the biggest space in India, and there's no real solution as of it. But now let's get into marketing and monetization aspect. So how are you marketing your product today? How are you reaching out to customer? How are you making customer aware there's a product like Realtimate and Propent.ai?
Okay. So let me start with Realtimate and then go to Prophunt.ai, right? So see, we are an early stage startup. We raised a small round of funding from strategic investors and angels who like venture. So we are very, very circumspect about how much we spend on marketing. If the product is good, people will use it, right? So all our Realtimate customers, pretty much all of our Realtimate customers, is either through word of mouth or through networking primarily. Okay. And we've hired sales reps who tap into their networks as well. So it's growing at its own pace. It has found its foothold. We are not aggressively going over the board marketing for the ultimate set of products. Now, that said, on the Prophunt.ai side of things, the model is only so beautifully built around an, connecting brokers across their existing networks that any communication that goes out through the platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, or Facebook, etc., itself serves dual purpose, right? It does its marketing, but also provides value, which just leads to the customers. In it, so whenever we want to communicate something, we already have that network established, and it's just a WhatsApp message away. So it's a minimal cost of marketing. But that said, we have delved into influencer marketing, and we've seen very good results, right? So there was one time back in late February where we simply did a small influencer marketing for around 20K, including GST. And it led to a 25 to 30 times increase in visitors on our website. And suddenly we started seeing like 3,500 people on a daily basis coming and searching on our platform. Traditional ways of marketing are not efficient. Like if you can spend a whole lot of money on Google or Instagram, throw a lot of money and you will not be able to drive that much. But on the other hand, piggybacking on influencer success while resonating with the problem, right? The reason I think so many people came is they resonated that this is a struggle for most end users. They're not able to find properties easily at low cost and effectively across Bangalore. It's very chaotic. Communicating a message and resonating with the user's problem and piggybacking on influencers is probably more efficient than trying to do full-fledged marketing at this point, because we also have to be very frugal about ourselves.
Yeah, I want to add some more thing here. Pretty quickly, we realized that it's very hard to raise funding in the real estate world. We raised about $500,000 through angels, but then VC funding in this particular space has been not so good in the last few years. There are reasons to it. That's a separate discussion. So we built a whole business model in a way that the product will become viral on its own. The way we aggregate the listings, how we distribute the listings back into the user network is built in a way that it can actually scale itself without spending too much of marketing. For example, we accumulate on a daily basis, we accumulate about 15,000 ads in Bangalore. There are a lot of junks, duplicates, and all that. We get about 800 genuine ads, so that are not duplicate. And then we bring the matches back to back to those people through Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and other mediums, right? So if you see, we aggregate, funnel it, and then make it organized, make it easy to search and all that, and bring back the value or the contacts back to the user through the social media only. So using this technique, we have been able to go from 0 to 20,000 plus agents within a matter of like few weeks, actually. And you have to be innovative when you don't have money. And that's probably a strength also because you don't have enormous resources. So you have to be creative in how to do more with less.
Are you monetizing both this platform today?
Yeah. So Realtimate, there is a service fee for every transaction, right? Whether it is a rental, if for rental it's at a different quantum. For any kind of resale transaction that goes through our platform, also is at a higher quantum. And in addition to that, we have value-added services like background verification, etc., That is part of the rental process where they validate the tenants, background, etc. So that is also a value-added services. Standalone e-stamping and e-signing is also a feature that we provide. And for expression of interest, we have a different quantum depending on the use case of the company. Now, on the Realtimate side, it's mainly service charges for every bit of transaction that they do on our platform. On the Prophunt.ai side, what we do is it's like a membership fee. So basically, what is valuable at this point? It's the leads, right? So we initially we launched Propent.ai and we gave it away for free for use by all agents. And around second week of February, we turned the monetization on by saying like you get up to 5 leads free, and beyond 5 leads, you'll start paying an annual membership charge, which will give you additional number of leads. Today we have two plans, right? Premium and Pro plan. The premium plan gives you up to 30 leads. The Pro plan gives you up to 100 leads, but it has
per
additional
month.
features per month. It has additional features. With the Pro plan, you can reach out to end users. With the premium plan, it is only you can network only with other agents. With Pro plan, you get to reach end users, and then it also color codes the plan in a very attractive way so that end
Listings.
customers listings, their listings or requirements, right? So that the end customers who are seeking out people to talk to know that when they click on that lead, they are a paid Pro member and they're going to be more serious about the property. In addition to that, we also ensure that anybody who reaches out to Pro members do not lose their lead. So it makes the Pro members more attractive targets for these guys. So we have different plans for premium and Pro member, and we charge membership fees for that as well. Now, in addition to that, we have also started realizing that our platform has suddenly become attractive to a large number of, marketing agents, real estate marketing agencies, as well as developers, because they have two purposes, right? Firstly, they want to know which are the active agents in a particular area of their concern. So if a builder like Shriram Apartments, right? They launch a new product in Electronic City. One of their hardest thing that they have to do is get the mind share of agents in that area, in and around that area. Okay, and today's modus operandi is that they throw a lot of parties, invite a bunch of agents who are also called channel partners, and try to convince them to sell their product, okay, which is apartments in there. But that hoopla that the party they throw, that effect will last probably 2 to 4 weeks at most, right? But the project has to continue. So our platform has the best insight into who are the active agents in that area and who are actively engaging in that area. So we have started seeing success with developers who want to advertise in our platform with hyper localized campaigns and getting agents to sign up to sell their projects as well. So that is another avenue of monetization that we are chasing. And standalone escrow services, standalone value-added services through Realtimate is something that will naturally happen as a byproduct of agents using Prophunt.
And what is the metric you're using today to check the success of the product? Is it a user or revenue? What's the model?
So for Realtimate, it is the number of transactions and revenue. It's very straightforward. For Propent.ai, because we have only launched monetization recently, one aspect is the revenue. How quickly are we growing month over month, right? But we also keep a very close track of how many users are visiting our website, how many searches are being performed, and how many users are reaching out to ad owners. Okay, that's a very good, because we know that as that number remains healthy or keeps growing, we know that people are still interested in our platform and are continuing to use us.
One more thing, this product, both Propent.ai and Realtimate, is built in India for India. Do you have any plans to go global to serve any other countries?
Definitely right. We've already been teased by prospects in Dubai as well as Kenya. If you won't believe it, but in Kenya, because if you think about it, this problem will exist everywhere there is no MLS system, and there are only two countries in the world that has a solid MLS system. That is the US and Canada.
The MLS is basically a centralized listing platform.
Yeah. So they built it long ago and it evolved and it became solid infrastructure, right? But everywhere else, real estate has grown in such a way that there was no aggregation or some kind of system built on top of the real estate market. So it has just grown on its own accord. So wherever it has grown on its own accord, the same problems will repeat, where people keep sharing on non-traditional platforms, Some areas have not even had proper traditional listing platforms, right? So we definitely think there is scope, not just in India. We are teasing, people are teasing us out in Dubai and Middle East, as well as in Africa. And when we collect ads, we are also seeing that a lot of ads are coming from South America as well, because there are some exclusive groups where even though there are Bangalore investors, some agents post ads to solicit investors for investments in other countries. So we are seeing Egyptian properties on sale, South American properties on sale. That means the modus operandi is the same exactly. So we think we can go into those markets, but at this point, we have to really be razor sharp focused on India, because we think that there is enough scope in India. But as we generate more revenue or when we raise more money, we will start looking at other global markets as well.
I'm assuming you have integrated AI into one of these or both of these platforms. So how are you leveraging AI to propel both of your products?
So basically, these days AI is a buzzword, right? You can call anything AI, but we couldn't have built this product without AI. This product didn't exist before Propent.ai because it couldn't have been built this kind of a platform, because the problem was there. The listings are there floating everywhere, all over the place, unorganized, but nobody was able to address this problem until the AI started coming in late 2023 and all, right? That is why we built Prophunt.ai that actually aggregates real estate listings from a bunch of social media groups, messaging groups like WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook groups. You just go to Facebook and search for real estate rental properties in Whitefield. You'll find like 20 groups, and each one of them having anywhere between 50,000 to 1 lakh members. And every day, 300 to 400 posts will be there in each of these groups. Now, just imagine in Bangalore, there may be like 100, more than 100 such groups. On a daily basis, how many hundreds of ads are coming, right? The ads are there, but because it is not organized, it's not easy to find when you want it, where you want it. People will have to still go to Magic Bricks, a no broker, and find take their time, because not every listing is over there. We just make the buyer's agent and seller's agent discover each other very fast within seconds. That is our goal. And where exactly we are using AI is, once the ads are aggregated, they are, a lot of times it is written in bad English. They just write 3 sentences. For example, you just say that I have a 3-bedroom house for rent at L&T Rentry Boulevard at 50,000 rupees per month. That is all the message they will put in some group. Our AI picks it up and extracts a lot of information. Like, I know it is an apartment, I know it is 3-bedroom, I know it is for rent, then I know it is for 50,000 rupees. Then I know the moment I know which location, society name, I know it is exactly in Sakar Nagar in Bangalore. These are the amenities, these are the dimensions, floor plans, everything I know. Just with that one sentence, I was able to extract all this information, which is exactly what you will find in any listing site. Now, we do the same thing for both demand and supply. Somebody else in some other group, maybe Telegram, he has put a message saying that looking for a 3-bedroom house for rent, my budget is 30 to 50,000 rupees in Sakar Nagar area. And we convert that into a listing with a geofence of 1 or 2 kilometers from the center point of Sakar Nagar. And we identify all the properties that have come up so far within that particular region, and send instant matches to both the people, both the tenant and the owner or the agent who has put this particular ad, right? So that they can network with each other very fast. So otherwise you had to take like 1 week to find each other. Now you'll be able to do it in seconds. And we do this even for newspapers. A lot of office spaces, commercial spaces, high-end properties are found in newspapers. But how many times will you read a newspaper, right? Like, there are like 100 ads every day. You won't see it, but our platform gives extra life to it. We download e-papers, we subscribe to e-papers, download it, and give extra life to these ads, and instantly connect to other prospects. A lot of people thought they might be thinking, I have put an ad in Times of India and I'm getting like 5 calls on the same day. How is it? It may not be that, it may be or may not be that those 5 people are seeing the newspaper ad. It could be a lot of them could have actually come from Propent, because Propent is giving extra layers of life, making it instantly connect with the other people in your city. So this all requires a lot of ads, a lot of AI, use of AI, and this couldn't have been built without AI. That's why it didn't exist. Even now, we are the only one who is doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting product. I would like to go and try it out myself after the call.
Yeah, definitely. The another beauty is of Propent. We built it in a way because we have been working on Realtimate, and we knew how difficult it is to change people's behavior. Okay, especially real estate agents. They are always on the go. They are on the motorbikes or on the site visit, talking to customers, it's very hard for you to get their attention. It's very hard to get them to download your app, sign up, log in, and all that. And what we do is we aggregate the ad from all over the place and bring back the lead to you on WhatsApp. You don't have to sign up, log in, download your app. That is why we were able to grow that fast.
I think it looks like you're one-stop shop for real estate, because your discovery, your transaction, and you're also trying to pull a lot of information using AI and aggregate that and providing that free information, right? I think this is a very
One thing we
valuable.
are not doing is actually facilitating site visits and all. But we don't want to be those people. Like, we don't want to be ours. Like, for example, who is the largest broker in India? Can you guess? Brokers in India. Okay, to keep it simple, it is no brokers. Themselves are brokers, and they call no broker. Okay. See, we don't want to be ourselves a broker. We want to be facilitation of brokers or a broker network, and we want to be the AI powered broker network, enabling individual brokers to be smart and be able to compete with the larger organization by being more efficient and tech savvy.
Who's your direct competitor today?
See, our direct competitors, there are a lot of people trying to do something similar to what we are doing at a manual level. Like, for example, a lot of people aggregate ads manually and try to do this networking. But it is not, it has been happening. It started yesterday or day before, right? It was happening for tens of years, decades. Only thing is scalability was not there. And we built technology to it so that we can do it at a very large scale throughout the country and abroad. So they are the competitors, but you can always say, I don't like to think no broker magic tricks are our competitors, because we really think the listings that we have is different from what they have, because we have the 80% of listing that generally don't get into listing sites. The traditional listing sites are built with the premise that people will come to Magic Bricks No Broker to put their ads. People will come to their website to search property. But we are built with the premise that people don't come to us. People don't change their existing behavior. People will do what they have been always doing, that share with their network. We want to, hook onto the network and help them rather than, making them come to us. We go to them. That is our philosophy from the beginning.
While they may not be direct competitors, right? Magic Bricks, No Broker, or whatever, they still have a fair mind share of agents in a sense because they were the early movers. So if any agent wants to post property, they'll still go to Magic Bricks. But what we are doing at this point, right? We have a great opportunity, and we are already doing this, where we can intercept those ads in an early stage and provide resolution even before it goes to a listing site. And that's where we can catch them so quickly. Because the modus operandi of an agent is, first, he'll try to propagate it into his network. And after a few days of not seeing any success, he'll buy a package, or if he's already bought a package, he'll go and post on the listing sites. What we are able to do is disrupt that workflow at a very nascent stage. Okay. That said, Magic Breaks, No Broker, Square Yards, 99 Acres, etc., they still have the mind share because of their early mover advantage. I think that will change over time, right? And like Bala said, there are other players, smaller players, who are doing something that we are doing, but in a very manual way. And that's the reason they have remained small. And maybe it works for them because they are going ahead and completing the service as well. But we are not in that stage anymore. We are not going to compete with brokers. We are a facilitator, and if broker network by itself had been very successful, they failed for many other reasons. They may have been the most direct competitor for us. But at this point, we don't have we do have competition, but in bits and pieces on many other aspects.
Do you also have a farmland into your mix, or you just tier one cities commercial?
The beauty of AI is that we can address all type of properties at one go. In our platform, you can actually, just with the paragraph of your ad description, right? We categorize your ad as apartment, villa, row, home, or individual house, or office space, commercial space, plot, or a piece of land, a joint development, PG. So all those properties will categorize it and enable you to search them individually.
Farmland buyers are also going to be city dwellers for a large proportion, right? So if they are city dwellers, those ads are going to be broadcasted in city-based WhatsApp networks. And if it is in the city-based WhatsApp network, we catch them. It's like throwing a huge net and the fishes will fall will be caught by themselves.
Are you planning to raise any funds soon, or what's your plan on the investment?
So we are interested, but at the same time, we are also building another piece of technology that should hopefully change the game significantly, right? So one of the things we realized is that we have to cater to end users with soft gloves, and they need to be treated and paired with the appropriate agents or properties or leads appropriately. So we are putting that in place. So we think that we will pick up massive traction with that. We are not averse to raising money at this point, but like what we have realized is that since 2021, when there was a mad rush and everybody and anybody got funding, and then it was downhill from there. We want to build the fundamentals of the company very strong. In the sense, we are looking towards a path towards profitability. When we start thinking on those lines, then fundraising becomes a lot more easier, and there are more people who are willing to believe us. The problem with, like Bala alluded to it, but the VCs in the prop tech area have not seen very successful exits in recent times, right? It's a longer life cycle, and the only thing they've seen is failures like housing or broker network, right? So they're very circumspect. But that said, we already have interest from several strategic investors, founders of other companies. We have a couple of Y Combinator founders who are really interested in investing in us. We have other entrepreneurs who are really interested in us. So it remains to see whether we will do a smaller round and extend our runway and expand into other cities, or can we make a big splash and raise money from the VCs all at once in the next 3 to 6 months?
I wish you all the best on that aspect.
Thank you.
You've been a great co-founder and looks like you're a great combination. What's your each of your role in the company?
So I take care of all the tech, building the tech, leading the tech team. We are a small team. We want to be very efficient in that term. So we have a tech team of 5 people, and I lead them. Pavan takes care of the everything else basically. I myself code, so I like to add myself in that like 5+1 type.
So I take care of strategy and operations of the company, hiring the right people, running the company, ensuring that we are chasing the right things, and keeping the finances tight, because that is very important. So anything that is non-technical in nature is something that is my responsibility.
My first venture was a solo venture. I know how draining it was, and having a co-founder that to complementing for co-founder is very, very important.
But I have great respect for single co-founders, because I don't know how they pull it off, but when they pull it off, it is just amazing. I mean, single solo phone.
Both of you are NRIs. You came back to India a couple of years back and doing a very good year. Any advice to NRIs who are on the fence to come back?
See, my advice would be that don't think too much, because you should not like just take a dive and live life. That is like the adventure, right? When you go on a adventure, you can encounter surprises. But then that is what makes the life exciting. So don't, if you have any inclination to come back and do something, just do it. And it is even better if you can decide to leave the job, and at least one of you can leave the job and start on your own. India needs people, more brilliant people, because a lot of things can be built in India. We are still majorly a service provider rather than a technology and product builder, and we need more people to come and build. But don't expect that your journey will be easy. I mean, that is one of the expectations that we had. Oh, with the kind of savings that we had, the kind of background that we have, it will be easy. You can do anything. It's not like that. When you actually hit the customer, it doesn't matter how good you are, how much money you have, or what kind of your background. It just doesn't matter. Whether you solve their problem or not is the only thing that matters. So none of that matters. So it is actually that reality will hit you hard, but just be open to get what do you say? Get this illusion. Okay, India is not going to be easy. America is not going to be easy either. A lot of people ask me, why did you come back to India? Why are you going back to India? Why can't you build this? You are in the Silicon Valley. I was in California, right? All the startups are built here. Why are you going back? I mean, my answer was that in Silicon Valley, right, all the best people in the world are there. They're trying to solve every small problem they are able to pick up. And if you pick up one problem, there are 100 people already working on it. So why do you need to, they are more into solving convenience problems at this point, because all the major, issues are solved for them, right? For us, we wanted to come back to India, and because there are a lot of problems and new technologies open new problems to be solved in a different, old problems to be solved in a new way, we thought we will come back and solve some of the unsolved problems and which maybe nobody is working on. But we realized to our shock that you have more entrepreneurs in India than in America. Actually, that was one of the major shocks. Like every cart, pani puri shop vendor is an entrepreneur. If you think India is a very entrepreneurial country, not everybody is doing a tech company, but it's a very entrepreneurial country, right? So we were really shocked to see every problem that we think of. There are so many other more companies that are trying to work on the same problem. You just have to come out of the crowd. Like we are all used to that in a class of 50 people, you want to come first, right? So this is like that only. A lot of struggle. There'll be success if you persist. Work hard, keep doing the right thing. Don't be foolish. Keep taking feedbacks. Learn from the market fast. Fail where you need to fail. But if you persist or work hard enough, don't get illusionized within 1 year or 2 year and decide to go back. You will make it success.
Yeah, I agree with what Bala said, right? Like, do you want to stay in a country that questions your very existence and keeps creating barriers to stay in that country? Or do you want to work with a great deal of freedom in your own country? Is a question that you have to ask yourself, right? Break the shackles, come back. What is the worst thing that can happen? When you went to US, you went because you are above average, right? Way above average. And don't you think that you should believe in yourself and come back and pursue your own chart? Sure, there will be some inconveniences. It is never going to be the same as the US. It will take some time to adjust, but you have to respect the fact that there are two different countries, two different demographies. The people are going to be different. And you have to programmatize yourself to adjust to the life back here. But that said, I would say that India today is not the India that was 20 years ago. There are safe spaces within each city. You have highly educated, closed communities, which create an atmosphere that is similar to the US. There are areas like Adarsh Palm Retreat, Adarsh Palm Meadows, Prestige Shantiniketan, where you will feel like you are part of a US extended network, but also you can live with much more, cultural diversity, etc. So it's not a bad place but you have to make up your mind. I would never recommend that you come back because of your family, right? I mean, sure, that might be one of the reasons, but you should also have another agenda to come back, which could be that, you want to start your own business or you want to continue your parents' business. And that makes you feel good about it also. But if you're only coming back because of your parents or relatives, you might be in for a rude surprise or shock. So while you want to break free and you have to find your calling, is what I would say. And education wise, I don't think we have dearth of good schools here. You will, in a city like Bangalore, you will always hear that traffic sucks. That is a fact. Deal with it. Work around the problem by hiring a driver so that you can still be productive. So there are ways to work around the inefficiencies in the Indian market. It's never going to be the same as the US, but as long as you're prepared to deal with it, you should feel comfortable coming back to India. And not to mention the food. It's always going to be better in India, no matter how good US chef makes Indian food, or an Indian chef in the US makes Indian food, the food will always be better. And I would also add to the fact that Indian tourism has evolved a lot, right? It's grown in leaps and bounds. You will find as good as a resort or as good as a getaway place that you would find in America, Europe, or any Western countries. So that will be a pleasant surprise. So you can do it with family. So there are a lot of pluses, I would say.
That's a great message. I think one of the messages that resonates is there's a lot of problems in India because a lot of people ask me when I try to come back, why do you want to come back? You're living a comfortable life. There's a lot of problems. I said, that's why I'm coming back. But there's a problem. There's an opportunity. We have to encash an opportunity.
Very well.
Right? And the second point, Pavan, you said, if you're coming just for your family, you don't have an higher purpose in mind. As soon as that fades away, then you realize emptiness again. Like, why did I move back? So when you're coming back, have an higher purpose. And the third point is, India is not the same country when we left. So like, for example, Pavan and Bala are part of B2I. We are building a community where NRI coming back and help people. And a lot of people are willing to help, right? There's a lot of help here. So overall, I think it's all about positive mindset. Keep it open because you cannot compare US and India. You are comparing apples and oranges. Both has its own set of challenges. Just come with an open mindset. I think proof is both Pavan and Bala. They came back during COVID and they are doing really good. And so make a wise decision. And also, I think what we want to say here is we are not saying US is bad, India is good. It's basically where you feel comfortable. That's the place you want to be, right? And just don't keep assumption in mind. I will go back to India. No, that's not the right way to think about it. Like whatever you feel comfortable, just be there. Yeah, I think it was a great conversation, Pavan and Bala. I would like to wrap up with like rapid fire round. Like I would like to ask each of you 5 questions. So let's start. I have like 4 questions for each of you. Let's start with Bala first, right? So Bala, so you have started with a real estate, right? Propent.ai and Realtimate. If Propent wouldn't have happened, what would be the other area you would have chosen?
Would have definitely done something to do with the military. I wanted to, like, there's a lot of people dying at the borders. I wanted to do something about that. If I get another opportunity to found another company, to do something related to military.
And what's the one tool you can live without every day or app?
The best app I would say is WhatsApp. But if you ask me tool, I would say laptop. Every vacation I go, even if I go out for one day, I'll take my laptop. And there are instances where I took my laptop to restaurants. I mean, of course, it could be because some work, anticipation of some work coming. But I, like to have laptop always with me.
Yeah, same here. I carry my almost laptop because once you go out in India, basically you're wasting entire day waiting for somebody because then you can at least be productive, use your laptop to get.
Yeah.
And what's your productivity hack? Favorite productivity hack?
I would say getting up early is a productivity hack for me, especially on weekends, because if I get up at 5:30, finish all my stuff that I want to do, before the kids wake up, if I am done with all the things that I wanted to do on a given day, there is no disturbance. So getting up early is a key, I feel.
What's one book or podcast you recommend, especially for the founders, which was especially useful for you?
See, recently I've read Elon Musk book. I'm a big Elon Musk fan. I completed that book without, like, my wife was surprised. I finished such a thick book in a matter of like 2 weeks. But before that, and I was contemplating founding this startup, I read Art of Start 2.0 from Guy Kawasaki. It's a really good book. It teaches you right from like how to plan, how to find a co-founder, how to evaluate whether a co-founder is fit for you. A lot of things it taught. So I would strongly recommend read The Art of Start from 2.0 from Guy Kawasaki.
Thanks, Bala. Pavan, it's the same questions for you. So if Propert or Realtimate wouldn't have happened, what's the other area you would have chosen?
I know what he would have been. He would have been a real estate developer in the US. He had 5 homes in the US.
Yeah, possibly, because I was getting into some kind of commercial real estate if I hadn't returned. But if I had returned to India and it was not Realtimate or Prop Hunt, I was very keen on solving the wastage of food problem. Because I think in any city, there are tons of food that are wasted while there are still poor people. So I would have loved to solve that problem. In fact, that is one proposal I had for Bala also, but it just occurred that real estate is a bigger problem to solve, and and there is money in it also because we don't know what will happen. That might have been an NGO effort, right? Solving the wastage of food problem.
What is your one tool or app which you cannot live without?
See, what I feel is, right, there are communication apps, etc. Okay, we need them. But when I'm using something, right, I don't feel like we should be fixated on any single app. There should be always contingencies. Like, for example, I was big on Microsoft Productivity Suite, right? But now a lot of AI tools have come. I am not going to be hung up on using that one single app all the time. If there is something better, I want to be able to leverage it. And I believe in trying to stick to the latest and greatest and use it, because if I'm hung up on using only one tool, I will not be able to use new innovations that often. But without a phone, you can't exist, I think, at this point, especially as an entrepreneur. So I really love my phone, and WhatsApp is definitely one thing that, yeah. 4 years, I would every year, at least every 3 years, I try to refresh the phone. Latest and greatest, that is one thing.
And what's your productivity hack?
Keep my kids happy so that they let me do my job in peace, right?
What
And
about
even
wife?
my wife as well. See, if kids are happy, mostly wife is happy.
Yeah.
Right? If kids are taken care of, if kids are fed, kids are in a good space of good mind space, then wife is happy. Then if wife is happy, I can do other things. But in addition to that, I will say there is a 80-20 rule that I follow. When I come into work, I feel like I have to tackle the 80 problem. And if I get bored while tackling the 80 problem, then I try to address the 20 problems so that I feel that some work is done. But get the big elephant out of the way is what I feel I want to do.
Is any book or podcast you recommend?
Yeah, I would strongly recommend entrepreneurs to read Blue Ocean Strategy. Fantastic book about how to look beyond incumbents, right? And then Zero to One by Peter Thiel, right? It really gets into the intricacies of how to think beyond just creating a random business versus creating a startup for the first time, right? So those two books are something that I strongly recommend budding entrepreneurs to read.
Thank you very much for your time, Pavan and Bala. It was very interesting conversation, right? Overall, about your journey coming back to Bangalore, starting up, and also it's very inspiring to solve one of the toughest problem, especially in India, the real estate space, and so thriving in that. I think it will be inspiration for the people either who are coming back or who want to start. I also encourage people to use Propent.ai and Realtimate and give a feedback. I will put a link in the description. Feel free to explore. I will also try to explore after this call. And, thank you very much for your time during a busy schedule. I look forward to meeting you in person later. Thank you. Have a great
I
day.
would also like to thank you for hosting us and exposing us to a lot more larger audience. And thanks for spending so much time on this podcast and scheduling it as well.
Yeah, if you need any assistance regarding what you want to do after coming back to India, I think we are here to help. Nithin is building B2I issue success with that, and hopefully we'll build. We'll be able to get back some new set of entrepreneurs and to build new India.
So thanks everybody for tuning in to the channel. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.